told you that this little psychic mushroom boy is better than most powerhouse Pokemon like Rayquaza and Garchomp. The most helpful, and arguably a better way to define best Pokemon, are the ones that help with the highest number of major battles. And if we're gonna look at the top 5 early game Pokemon, there is no better place to start with than Ralts. So in Hoenn, Ralts can be obtained extremely early, on Route 102 before even the first gym. Getting Ralts this early presents itself with the maximum amount of opportunities to help you. But obviously the Pokemon needs to be good in order to do that. And Gardevoir is one of the best Pokemon you can run for a playthrough. As a psychic type, Gardevoir is kind of reminiscent of Alakazam with insanely high special attack, but it trades that speed for ridiculous special defense bulk. It gets access to Stab Psychic, Calm Mind, Shockwave, eventually Thunderbolt, and even Shadow Ball. Also, if you're talking the remakes, fairy types. The thing with Gardevoir is that it can be used effectively for every major fight in this game. Starting out, Ralts goes neutral to Roxanne's rock types, but it's able to inflict pretty big damage by bypassing their high defenses with Confusion. It's also helpful for crushing the notoriously hard Brawly with its fighting resistance and super effective psychic moves. It then goes neutral to Watson's electrics, Flannery's fires, and Norman's normals, but just because it goes neutral doesn't mean it's bad. It's capable of laying out big damage with Stab Psychic moves against all of these teams. It's able to run through most of Winona's fires, now knowing Thunderbolt. And then you're off to the big water section of the game, where you literally fry everything. You'd think its first real roadblock is against Tate and Liza's psychic types, but no, slap Shadow Ball onto this bad boy, and even in Gen 3, where ghosts are physical, Gardevoir's doing big damage. And lastly, we have the Water Gym. It follows up that beautiful performance by causing more grief to Juan and Wallace's water types with Thunderbolt than industrial fishing has done to our oceans. Now, to acknowledge Gardevoir's weaknesses, it does struggle in the Elite Four. Sydney's team is based on the Dark type, which makes them all immune to Psychic, and Phoebe's Ghost team is similarly good against you. Now, it does fortunately perform great at electrocuting 3 of Glacia's part water ice types. On Drake's team, it needs to be careful as he has a lot of Pokemon with Crunch, but you still do great here. You've got high special attack, Stab Psychic. What more do you want? As for Champion Steven, it goes neutral to forward of 6, mainly struggling against Metagross's 4x Psychic resistance. But in Emerald, Gardevoir is a shining star of this fight. First of all, you've got great special defense to wall all of these water attackers. Plus, Gardevoir incinerates Wallace's Gyarados, it melts Tentacruel's brains, it can hit Wailord and Milotic for super effective damage, all while still having the time of day to neutrally contend with Ludicolo and Whiscash. Gardevoir is a staple Pokemon of Hoenn that only gets better in the remakes with special Shadow Ball and of course the amazing Fairy type. Now, a staple of every Pokemon game is the early bird Pokemon, but very few early birds manage to hit quite as hard as Staraptor, our number 4 pick. Starly can be obtained on the first route of the Gen 4 games and Route 201. That again means it has the potential to be used in every single major fight. And guess what? You can do that. The thing with Staraptor is it's able to KO so many things in one turn without being touched. Its great offense doesn't mean it even needs a good defense. Another reason Staraptor is king is Learn Set. Starting with Quick Attack, you have priority of speed, and Wing Attack is a solid 60 base power stab move. It also gets access to the OP fighting move Close Combat at 34, and then Brave Bird stab boosted at 49. And if this wasn't good enough already, Staraptor has one of the best abilities in the game: Intimidate. Anytime Staraptor takes the field, the opponent's attack is lowered. This gives great synergy to any team, further helps Staraptor's low defenses, and is probably the best overall ability for Nuzlocking. Looking how it does against the gyms, it's also no pushover. It admittedly loses to the first rock gym Rourke, who gets resistance to both flying and normal moves, but it does follow that up with super effective flying moves against Gardenia's Grassmons. It also gets super effectiveness against Maylene's Meditite and Machoke while going neutral against Lucario. It goes neutral to Crasher Wake, but has immunity to Quagsire's ground moves. Since Staraptor gets Ghost immunity, it wrecks Fantina, but then gets destroyed by Byron's flying resistant steel types. Unless you've managed to get Close Combat, which at this point, you should definitely have Close Combat. Next up, Candace's Ice team all have flying weaknesses besides Sneasel, which has a 4x fighting weakness. So even being weak to ice, Staraptor is great for this fight. The only 2 gyms Staraptor badly lose to is the first Burst, Rock, and the final Volkner, who is Electric. Overall though, still pretty cracked. And as for the Elite Four, it really doesn't let up the gas. It crushes 4 out of 5 on Aaron's Bug Team and then goes neutral to his final Drapion. Given its ground immunity, it's very solid against Bertha's Quagsire, Hippowdon, and Wishcash, and can even contend with her Sudowoodo and Golem because of close combat. It wrecks Flint's Infernape with Brave Bird, Steelix and Lopunny with close combat, Drifblim with Ghost immunity, and then goes neutral to Rapidash. It beats Lucian's Medicham while going neutral to the rest of his team. And as for Cynthia, it has the advantage against Spiritomb and Gastrodon due to Ghost and Ground immunity. It easily beats Roserade with Brave Bird, can outspeed and hit Lucario with close combat, and goes in neutral against her Milotic. It even has ground immunity to Garchomp's Earthquake to allow for free swap-ins. Strapper is so good, it changed the concept of what an early game bird Pokemon is. Nidoran isn't usually the first thing that comes to mind when you think of cracked Pokemon in general terms. But if you've played Red, Blue, and Yellow or Fire Red and Leaf Green, you know just how amazing this Pokemon can be. Nidoran can be found in or just off the second route of the game, and the first of many things that make Nidoran so broken is the fact that you also get a Moonstone right after the first gym. In Gen 3 and on, you can get Double Kick early to make Brock an easy fight, but Brock is always an easy fight. It's really after this that Nidoran is gonna get amazing anyway. And that's because after this first gym, you get a final stage evolution Pokemon at level 16. There's 92 base attack before the second gym. See, it's this early game power spike in unison with an insane TM move pool that makes this Pokemon so good. In the original, you get 100 base power dig from Cerulean City, Ice Beam, Surf, Thunderbolt, Rock Slide, and of course, Stab, Earthquake. As for the remakes, you still get a lot of those moves, plus Sludge Bomb, Flamethrower, Iron Tail, and even the 120 damage Mega Horn. Dig only has 60 base power in this game, but it's still insane for the early game. So you get Double Kick at level 12 in both Yellow and the remakes to give you a big advantage over Brock. Now Misty kind of wrecks your Nidoking, but you also get Mega Punch or Mega Kick, and you can deal some big damage to this thing before you go down. With Stab Dig, you devastate Surge's electric Pokemon, and in Fire Red and Leaf Green Celadon City, you can absolutely destroy Erika's Grassmons. And even in the original, it's still neutral. And shortly after that, Koga's poison types are also no match for you. Now, as for Sabrina, it beats Venomoth, but can't really touch any of her other psychic types unless you're in the remix. In which case, you just get access to Mega Horn, a 120 base power bug move that can devastate at least one Pokemon on her team. From here, Surf or Stab Dig wrecks Blaine, and the same can be said for Giovanni. And from here, now having access to Earthquake, you are so set up for the Elite Four. You immediately struggle against Lorelei due to Slowbro and Jinx's psychic moves, but once again, you got Mega Horn. Apart from that, Stab Earthquake is always going to be enough to overpower her Dugong, Cloyster, and probably even Lapras in the originals. Bruno gets wrecked by a combination of Earthquake and Fighting Resistance, and Agatha also gets destroyed by Earthquake. Unless you're in the remakes where Levitate's now a thing, don't even worry about it, you're fine. They can't hit you for anything. Golbat will certainly go down with an easy Ice Beam. And speaking of Ice Beam beats Lance's Dragons. Gyarados can even be taken out with Rock Slide. As for your rival, you can Ice Beam Pidgeot, Rock Slide another Gyarados, and Earthquake Rhydon, Arcanine, and Alakazam. And if he's got a Charizard, don't even talk to me about that 4x weakness to Rock. So overall, incredibly useful. You have a very early Pokemon that gets an insane early game power spike, and you combine that with some of the best TMs for any Pokemon ever. It really just can't be understated just how strong an early Nidoran on your team can be. Now, next up, we have a surprising second place pick going to Geodude. In my opinion, Generation 2 Geodude is the most underrated Pokemon to ever exist. So to start out, let's look at stats. Base Geodude starts out with a very respectable 80 base attack and 100 defense before even evolving. In the early game, that is really good, as most Pokemon don't yet have special moves, and the majority of your early game fights are normal, bug, and flying, all which you resist. It also learns Defense Curl, which doubles the power of Rollout, taking the move from an initial base 30 to 60 plus Stab. You can get both Rollout and Dig before the third gym near Goldenrod, and lastly, it learns Earthquake at 41 and Explosion, a 250 base power move at level 48. So on its own, in any game, any generation, this would be a great start. But it takes more than good moves and decent stats to make it onto our number 2 spot. The ultimate reason behind Geodude's placement has a lot to do with the gym composition of Johto. The first gym runs flying types, and so assuming you're able to get to level 11, you can walk all over Falkner. From here though, things just get better. You can rock throw your way through all of Bugsy's bugs easily, all while you resist everything he throws at you. From here you've got the notoriously difficult Whitney, where Geodude is one of the best Pokemon in the game. First, you get resistance to Whitney's normal moves and her Miltank's rollout. Furthermore, even if that rollout is starting to build up in power, you get Dig, so you can trigger misses so that rollout never gets strong. Speaking of Dig, you can then go on to quickly destroy Morty's Ghost Poison team in Ecruteak City. It's only in the Fighting 5th gym where you see your major first hurdle. Since Golem, you did evolve your Pokemon into Golem, right? Has fighting weakness and 4x water weakness. This means you get destroyed by both Primeape and Poliwrath. But fortunately, the Geodude train doesn't stop for too long. It makes a massive comeback in the 6th gym, absolutely demolishing Olivine's Magnemites and Steelix with Dig. Now the 7th gym is Ice featuring water, but Price's Seal and Dugong don't have water moves, so it can compete with them despite the Ice weakness and wreck Piloswine. If you get lucky with rollout, you can actually sweep this dude. And the same can be said for Claire's Dragons. She loves to spam Thunder Wave, which Golem is immune to, and getting lucky, you can find yourself running another rollout train on all 3 of her Dragonairs. As for the Elite 4, Golem just keeps on rolling out. It beats Will's Flying Zatus and Jinx with rock moves, and since Slowbro has no water moves, it wins against that too with now Stab Earthquake. As for Koga, it can rock out on Ariados, Venomoth, and Crobat, and then wreck Muck with Earthquake. Again, another easy 4-5 win. It admittedly sucks against Bruno, but it can at least stab Earthquake as Onix. Speaking of stab Earthquake, you can also do that to Karen's Gengar, Houndoom, and rock throw her Murkrow. And finally, we're on to the champion. Just when you were starting to question the rock guy, the Giga Chad of Johto, here comes the Dragon Master with a full team of flyers, ready to eat a face full of rocks. So Lance's Gyarados and first Dragonite do have super effective moves against you, and you really gotta not have Golem in for that. But once that's over, oh baby, get a rollout going, or even just a rock throw, and watch as this man devastates Lance's team. You got rocks on Dragonite, rocks on Aerodactyl, rocks on Dragonite, rocks on Charizard. It's a sight to behold. The dude of geology, putting Birdkeeper Lance back in his cage. Not to mention, if you ever find yourself backed in a corner with this guy, you always have 250 base power explosion. Now, as a quick honorable mention, I want to throw in Mega Lucario to the list. You only get this after the 3rd gym, so it feels a little bit late, especially when you're like already level 30. 145 physical attack, 112 speed. Yeah, you basically got a legendary by the 3rd gym. But moving on to our number 1 spot, we're gonna take it back to Gen 1. And Alakazam's combined special was 135. No weaknesses, nothing to resist it, that insane attack and defense, and 120 speed, meaning you basically always hit first. Since Gen 1 crits are based on speed, Alakazam crits almost a quarter of the time. As for matchups, nothing can compete. The only bug type you come across is Sabrina's Venomoth with 20 damage leech life. Alakazam doesn't face a single roadblock in the entirety of Kanto. And it's for those reasons that Alakazam claims its throne as the best playthrough Pokemon of all time and our number 1 spot.